In 1942, Malta's future hung by a thread. This vital British stronghold faced ceaseless Axis bombings, its people teetering on the brink of starvation. While rumors of surrender floated among the Allies, memories of the Royal Navy's disastrous PQ-17 convoy mission that was annihilated in the Arctic still lingered, a bruise on their honor. Now more than ever, Britain needed a victory. And so, British warplanners formulated one of their boldest naval moves yet, Operation Pedestal. Tasked with this critical rescue mission, 14 merchant ships embarked, including the vital oil tanker Ohio, with their path shielded by 2 battleships, 3 fleet aircraft carriers, and over 40 other destroyers, corvettes, and submarines. Their objective was clear yet perilous, and to accomplish it, they would need to navigate a Mediterranean Sea teeming with Axis submarines, warplanes, and warships. It would be one of the most dire escort missions of the war. The survival of the Allies' most important base in the surrounding theaters of war depended on it. The Allied lifeline. Covering a scant 122 square miles, Malta, a conveniently located rocky island with harbors and airfields, was a vital foothold for British air and naval forces and a staging post for operations across the entire central Mediterranean. The British colony was also critical for any future invasion plans for Italy and northern Africa. As such, this strategic linchpin became a prime target for enemy forces. For 2 relentless years, German and Italian bombers tried to flatten the island. Yet British troops and the Maltese locals held firm, conducting the war's longest defense action. By late spring 1942, however, the island's situation reached a tipping point. Buildings lay ruined or damaged from near-daily Axis bombing raids. Most importantly, supplies of wheat, flour, oil, aviation fuel, and anti-aircraft ammunition were critically low. In July, General John Gort, Malta's governor and decorated World War I hero, sent a message to British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Food and petrol would be exhausted by August's end. Life for citizens and British troops was hanging by a thread. With the clock ticking, the British Admiralty mounted one last-ditch effort, a large relief convoy codenamed Operation Pedestal, with the goal of resupplying Malta and staving off defeat. Assembling the Armada. Returning to the United Kingdom from a successful operation that culminated in the occupation of the Vichy French base in Madagascar, Vice Admiral Edward Neville Seifert learned he'd been chosen to command Pedestal. This would be the largest and most powerful convoy attempted yet, boasting a heavy fleet escort of 2 battleships, 3 aircraft carriers, 7 cruisers, 32 destroyers, and 7 submarines, safeguarding 14 merchant ships. The most critical among them was the USS Ohio, a United States Navy ship crewed by British men, chosen for being the only fast tanker available on such short notice. Inside, the ship carried 13,000 tons of oil. The rest of the merchant vessels were filled with food, flour, ammunition, backup oil, and other essential supplies. A decoy operation was planned to distract German and Italian naval and air units, as Axis commanders were aware that the British would attempt another relief operation for Malta, as they'd done twice before without positive results. Meanwhile, Air Vice Marshal Keith Park in Malta had a torpedo bomber strike force ready to protect the convoy. This monumental operation, the largest and riskiest naval mission to be launched in the Mediterranean, was crucial for Malta's survival and, in a way, for the honor of the United Kingdom. Journey to Malta. As the convoy ships convened at the Hyde Naval Base, the Royal Navy's headquarters in Scotland, Captain Dudley Mason, commander of the Ohio tanker, addressed his crew in the petty officers' mess, laying bare the monumental journey that lay ahead. Quote, "We sailed this afternoon. Our destination is Malta. You all know what that means. Ohio is the only tanker. We'll be fighting with 13,000 tons of high-octane fuel aboard. Now is the time for anyone wanting to back out to say so. However, be warned, if you choose to disembark, you'll be kept in the custody of the Naval Provost Marshal until the operation concludes. Secrecy is paramount." All officers and sailors decided to proceed. On the night of August 3rd, the main convoy departed. A week later, as the vessels entered the Straits of Gibraltar and the warm waters of the Mediterranean, each merchant ship's skipper opened a sealed envelope received at the convoy conference. Inside was a goodwill message from the First Lord. That day, the convoy entered the Strait of Sicily. From the onset, The Allied forces faced relentless attacks from German and Italian submarines, aircraft, and surface vessels. Despite the constant threat, the convoy and Ohio pressed off, fending off the assaults with a single-minded determination to deliver the vital supplies to their destination as swiftly as possible. Chaos at sea. August 11th marked a turning point for the convoy. An onslaught of Axis aircraft and submarines wreaked havoc, sinking several ships, including HMS Eagle, one of the operation's primary aircraft carriers. The harrowing assault only escalated the following day. A coordinated Axis attack, a dangerous mix of torpedo bombers and enemy vessels, claimed the cruiser HMS Manchester and 2 merchant ships filled with supplies. In the face of the relentless Axis aggression, Admiral Seifert was forced into swift, decisive action to evade disaster. His initial strategy, launching aircraft from the fleet carriers HMS Victorious and HMS Indomitable for protection, met a crushing blow. 3 bombs hit Indomitable, and her flight deck was set ablaze, ending her participation in Operation Pedestal. Admiral Seifert, with few options left, made the call on the night of the 12th to split the convoy, the fast section, including Ohio, and the slower section. Despite continuous harassment by Italian and German planes, the fast section pressed forward to Malta on the 13th. But Ohio wouldn't escape unscathed. An Italian aircraft's torpedo struck her critically, flooding the tanker, which miraculously didn't explode. The crew, despite the damage, managed to maintain control and kept her moving. Final stretch. The dawn of August 14th found Ohio in a dire situation. Punctured decks, a failing starboard engine, and a barely functional rudder were the least of her worries. The water was creeping steadily higher, and over half her crew was either gone or seriously wounded. But the crew wasn't ready to abandon their mission. They pushed on, despite the desperate circumstances, and Captain Mason faced the grim reality that it would take little more than a miracle to navigate his crippled tanker into Malta's Valletta Grand Harbor. During this pondering, a bomb tore through the superstructure, exploding in the engine room and blasting a gaping hole in the port side. Ohio, sinking lower and lower, was hastily tied to a destroyer with wire hawsers as they fought off continuous torpedo boat attacks throughout the night. Help came just in time, in the form of Admiral Harold Burroughs' Fleet Air Arm fighters. Burrough relayed the grim news to Mason. Only 3 ships had made it through, with provisions and ammunition. His message to Ohio's skipper was clear and resolute, quote, "They need you to survive. All Malta awaits your arrival. God bless you. I am proud to have sailed with you." Against the tide. As Ohio and her destroyers approached Malta, enemy bombers dived again. A near miss damaged the ship's rudder, blew a hole in her stern, and sunk her even lower, dragging down her tied-up escorts. At 8 p.m. on August 14th, the crew finally spotted Malta. Thus, tugs sailed out to assist the 3 ships, and enemy attacks ceased, as the enemy knew Ohio was rapidly sinking. As dawn broke, Ohio was spotted only a mile from Valletta Harbor. Thousands of civilians, British soldiers, sailors, and airmen silently watched their saving grace's miraculous survival. When the tanker passed through the harbor, the silence ashore turned into cheers, followed by guns fired in salute. On board Ohio, Captain Mason, busy fighting the fires, paused to give a faint smile. Some say he even shed a few tears. Congratulations from British authorities and the Admiralty in London soon poured in. But to Captain Mason, the most important of all was from Lord Gort, the governor of Malta, who spoke for the islanders themselves. Quote, "We are all so happy to see you and your fine ship safely in harbor after such an anxious and hazardous passage. You have saved Malta." Surviving the storm. The USS Ohio tanker was berthed at Malta's Parlatoria Wharf after her precious cargo of 13,000 tons of aviation fuel was unloaded. It was a close call. On the night of August 15th, the commander of the Royal Air Force fighters in Malta reported to Lord Gort that they could now mount unlimited combat sorties for 2 more months. Finally, a 4th crippled merchant vessel, the Brisbane Star, also reached the island, delivering a total of 32,000 tons of food, ammunition, and other supplies, enough to sustain the island bastion for almost 3 months. The delivery of supplies ensured that Malta could continue to function as a crucial base for launching air and sea operations against the Axis supply lines in North Africa, contributing to the eventual success of the Allies in the North African campaign. Among the decorations awarded to survivors of Operation Pedestal, Captain Mason was given the George Cross, Britain's highest award for a non-combatant, while 23 of his sailors and gunners were also decorated. On April 15, 1942, King George VI awarded the George Cross to the people of Malta for their heroism and devotion, the only time in history that an island has been given a medal. Malta never forgot Operation Pedestal and Ohio, and when the rusty hulk of the tanker was towed out of the Grand Harbor for the last time in 1946, the crowds gathered once again to say goodbye to their fallen savior.